Hey everybody, Rebecca at Windy Branches Farm. Today we're doing something for stocking stuffers for Christmas. We are making fire starters, homemade fire starters. So what we're going to need for this project is a lot of parchment paper or wax paper, any kind of craft paper, or you can use whatever kind of paper you have laying around. So it can be shopping bags, paper shopping bags, or whatever you have laying around. You'll want to cover your surface with that. So we need some kind of paper. We need some pine shavings, and we have these on hand because we keep these here for our chickens. So you need pine shavings. You will need some kind of pan. I'm just using this old pan that we use for nothing. It was just laying around. A cooling rack. You'll need a cooling rack. And a piece of parchment paper to put between your pan and your cooling rack. The idea is to save all of our things from getting wax all over it. So you will also need candles. You'll need candles. I purchased these 5-hour emergency candles. They burn for 5 hours. So I purchased a bunch of boxes of these. You'll need cupcake liners. You'll need cupcake liners. A muffin tin or a muffin pan. I'm using this brownie pan because I never ever use it. So this is gonna go in the kit for making these fire starters. So when I make them again, this is already covered in wax and it's pretty much ruined, and so I already have something to set my muffin the cupcake liners in. And you'll need some tape to tape down your paper onto your table, because we don't want to get that wax all over everything. And then you will need a double boiler, something that you can use that you're not gonna care if it gets ruined, because wax is really hard to get off of stuff. So basically what you do is pick items that you can put in the kit to make these fire starters over and over again when you want to, and you can use the same items and you don't have to worry about ruining your things more than once. I picked this up at it's just a tea kettle. I picked this up at a thrift store to use. I have a pan, an extra pan that we have laying around. And I am using a hot plate to do mine, because I don't want this to get on my stove. And so I'm using this 2-burner hot plate. I'll only use one of the burners, and you'll notice too that it's sitting on a sheet pan, because I don't want to get that wax on anything. So I'm trying to protect everything from the wax. You will also need something to put your fire starters in when you're all done and they've cooled off. I have these plastic cellophane bags. I plan to put a little bit of the pine shavings in the bottom of this bag and set a fire starter on top of it, tied up nice. Probably, I think I might be able to get 2 fire starters in here. So I'll put 2 fire starters in, and then tie it up with these little colored ties. They're like bread ties. And then these will go in our boys' stockings, and we'll give some of them away for Christmas. So that's the items that you will need. And your candles, You want to use unscented candles for this project because they don't smell really good once they mix in with the pine shavings and you light them back up for a fire. It just doesn't smell good. And you can actually cook over these emergency candles. At least it says you can. So anyway, so we're going to get started on making these. And yeah, this will turn out to be a really good stocking stuffer. If you have someone in your life that you know that likes to go camping, this will be a great stocking stuffer for them. So I'm going to turn this water up. It's already warm and steamy, but I'm going to turn it up and get it good and hot and get our double boiler warmed, and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is turn on our eye, get the water up to a boil, which it's coming up to a boil now. We're going to take our kettle, sit it in the water. I'm going to sit that in the water and let it warm up. And while it's warming up, we will take some candles and put them in the kettle to melt. We want those melted really, really good. So just take the lid off of this and put your candles inside and let them, I have a few in there that's melting now, so take the lid off, put the candles in, put the lid back on because we want to hold in all of that good heat. And we're going to do this in small batches because I don't want to take any chances on spilling the wax or getting the wax on anything. So I'm going to really try to be careful about not letting this wax get all over everything. Okay, while that is heating up and melting the wax, we're going to take our tin, our muffin pan. We're going to take our muffin pan, or a brownie pan in this case. We're going to take our brownie pan and open up these liners. This is a really cool idea. I saw it on Acre Homestead. They were making them because she heats, or used to heat, her house with wood. And so she was making them, her mom was making them for them to keep next to their fireplace so that they could have fire starters next to their fireplace to start a fire. So I thought that was a great idea, and I wanted to share it with our boys and even our girls. We've got a lot of people in our family that loves to go camping, and this is a great stocking stuffer. I always try to look for stuff to give the kids in their stockings, or for Christmas or whatever, things that they'll actually use. And so I want to make sure that I give them things that I know that they will use, and they'll really enjoy these. I know that for sure. So what we'll do is take a peek in here and see how this is coming along. They're melting really good. So what you want to do is always have about an inch or two of already melted wax that's warm inside the bottom of your kettle. And the reason why is because the candles will melt much faster inside the hot wax that's already melted than they will if you empty this kettle out and then start from fresh. So we always want to keep a little bit of melted wax, hot melted wax in the bottom of this kettle, so that as we add more candles and we use more of the melted wax, it doesn't take so long to do this process. So I'm going to bring you over to the table and show you how I fill these up, and then we are going to start pouring the wax on those and get a new set of candles in, and we'll just keep repeating the process until I run out of supplies. So this is just pine shavings that we keep here, that we use in our chickens' coop. So we always have these on hand, and this is perfect to use for this. So you just take a handful of it and put it in these muffin tins. Push it down in there because you want to get as much in as you can. You want to use as much of it as you can inside the muffin tin, or the muffin paper, or muffin liner, whatever you want to call it, cupcake liner, call it whatever you want. Fill all these up. We do want to get them good and full, but what will happen is when we pour the wax in, we are going to add just a touch on top of the hot wax. So you just fill these up. This is real easy to do. I'm so glad that I came across that video, because I always want to give the kids something that I know that they'll love and that they haven't seen. And a lot of times what's fun about that is they're like, oh, I want to make those. And I love to teach them how to do new things. So this is one of those things that will be fun for them, and it's fun for me. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay. I may not have mentioned earlier, but when whatever you use to do this, you want it to have a spout. You could dip it out from another boiler, but it's so much easier to pour if you do it with something from a kettle. And these are at Goodwill or thrift stores or whatever. I paid $1.50 for this one, and that's okay because it's being sacrificed for the wax. That's what I'll use it for, and that, it'll just go in the kit, and that'll be what that's used for. So we're going to pour hot wax on each one of these. So here we go. You can see the wax coming out. Just going to pour that. Pour wax on each one. You want to make sure that you pour enough that it gets everything good and saturated. And it's okay if some spills out on your muffin pan, because like I said, start out with a muffin pan that you don't mind messing up, and then you don't have any trouble. Okay, so see this right here that's coming out of the thing? That's a wick. And that's perfectly fine that is in there, because it's just that's going to burn too, so it's fine. Let me check and see how much we have. Oh yeah, we only have a little bit left, so I'm going to put this back on in the water and add more candles. So let me show you what I'm doing. We'll just move you this way a little. Okay, so you just take more candles, take your lid off, and then you just take the whole candle and drop it inside. We're going to put several in there so that we have a bunch. Just keep filling it up. You just don't want to put so much in that it comes up, to where your spout is, because you don't want that pouring out. So we get that heated up. And now, while that is still wet, while these are still wet, I'm going to add just a touch more of the pine shavings on top of it. Just because, you know, it's wet on the top and they'll stick to the top of it. So we'll just add that. And it's not going to be like a big cube of something that is nice and neat and square and, you know, or round or whatever, and doesn't have anything that falls out of it. I'm just adding some on top to kind of seal it off, because the top of it is, you know, you can see the top, how the top is, this is a little bit hot. You can see how that still looks a little bit wet. We are just covering that up. We're just covering up the wet. Because that just means that it can soak up some more of the pine shavings. So we're just covering up that little bit of wetness. That way I'm going to pour just a tad more in. Just to make sure that we got it good. Put that back in the water. And then add a little bit. Now what we're going to do is take these out. This one's already started to form. We're going to take these, we're going to take them out and sit them on the table. So they're a little bit warm on the bottom, but they're not hot enough to, they're definitely not hot enough to see the wax in the bottom. They're definitely not hot enough to harm the table. Plus I've got my table covered up and good and protected, so. But when you sit them on the table, stack them good and close to each other so that when they dry, so they don't spread out, you know, as they dry. So just sit them on your table like that. And then when they dry, they'll still be in shape at least. Okay. Now we're going to just take this, dump it back in here because we'll use it again. See, this is what I mean when I say find something that you're willing to sacrifice for wax. Because see the wax here, it's in here. It just gets everywhere. So when you're making these, you'll want to make sure that you're protecting your stuff. So we're going to do this again. I usually buy cupcake papers at Dollar Tree and use those. So I keep checking these because they seem a little bit thick, but I remembered that when I went to go get the papers out of the cupcake liners out of my cabinet, I didn't have any and it was last minute. So I ran to Walmart to buy some, and all they had was that, I don't know what brand it is, but it's not Dollar Tree brand. And it seems like the paper is so thick. So I keep thinking, well, maybe I've got two, but that's not the case. I only have one. But pack these in there good and tight. Your little shavings. I'm sure that there's other shavings that you can use, or other, like any kind of maybe animal bedding or something like that, that you can use for these. But I'm just using this because we keep several bags of these on our farm, because when we clean out our chickens' nesting boxes, we sometimes they get in there and throw this stuff all over the place, and we have to add more. So I like to get in there and add add this to their next nesting boxes to keep their eggs protected from breaking when they lay their eggs. So it looks like we're ready to do this again. See how much we've got melted. That needs to sit there just a little bit longer and keep melting. So, there's a piece of wax. You can see that's what the fire starter looks like. And what you will do is you can either cut this in half to make, you know, if you're just making a small campfire, you can just cut this in half and only use half of it. Put the other half back in a sealed container, or just put the whole thing in there if you want to. Just depends on what size fire you're building. Around here we'll have a bonfire sometimes. So what I like to do is put 2 of these in when I'm starting the fire outside. We'll use 2 of these at one time to make a big bonfire. And they're already cooled off. They're a little bit warm, but for the most part they're cooled off. Okay, let's see how far our wax is melted. It's melted pretty good. And two, if you use a kettle, the inside is insulated, so it, you know, or the bottom of it's insulated, so that'll make it easier for this wax to get hot and stay hot while you're working with it. So take the lid off and we will pour some more. Whoops! Got a little heavy-handed on that one. It just started coming out like crazy. Now I like to sit this on a cooling rack so it doesn't burn my table. See how much we've got left. We got a little bit left in there. So I'm going to close that up and let the other candles that are in there keep melting while we finish up this set. You have to be careful when you put this on and start to push it down like that, because that wax is really hot, and if you push down too hard it might come up through the other pine shavings and get on your hands and burn your fingers, so you don't want that to happen. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing this. I've got several boxes of candles to do because I want to make sure that I give the boys several of these in their stockings to take with them when they go camping. So I'm going to keep doing that. But first I'm going to sit this over here and show you how I'm going to package these. So we have these cone-shaped bags. What I want to do is take a tiny bit of this, put it in the bottom, just let it sink down to the bottom. Let me grab something to, oh, here's a little stick. So push this until they all get down to the bottom, like that. Okay. And then we'll just take one of these and sit it inside the bag. We may only get one in here, actually. Okay, this bag's not big enough, so I'm going to grab a different bag. for sure that those bags would work for that, but I guess not. Okay, so I still am using cellophane bags. Here's this. I'm going to put a little bit of this down in the bottom just for, you know, just for basically just filler. Take this fire starter, put it in here. That's actually good though, because now I can do them a stack of fire starters in here. I can do them a stack of 3. So yeah, that's good. Then I have to make less bags of them. There we go. And then I will use these. Have some red ones here for Christmas. So we have our stack of fire starters. Tie that up with a little red tie. And here is a really nice gift to give whoever likes to go camping or sit out at a campfire, around a campfire at a friend's house or at their house or whatever. Probably what I'll do for our boys, I'll give these as gifts. But for our boys, we have some boxes left over from our honey boxes that Mark made. I can show you one of those. Probably what we will do is we'll probably put the boys or girls, whoever, our kids basically, we'll put theirs in these boxes. Mark made these boxes to sell our honey in, only this they're actually charcuterie boxes is what he built these for, and they have handles that go on the edge. This one just doesn't have them on yet, but we will put theirs in this and then give it to them in this. So that will be, they can get a 6-pack. So yeah, we'll wrap that up for them, give it to them as a gift, and then they have a box to use, or a charcuterie, personal size charcuterie board, or they can use it for whatever their heart desires. But this is probably how we will wrap it up and give it to our kids, is in one of these boxes. So I hope you enjoyed this DIY. It's been really fun to make these. I hope you'll try to do it yourself. But it's been really fun. It's been really fun to make these and learn how to make things, you know, on our farm that I am able to share with friends and family, and especially our kids. So I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another fun DIY. I haven't chose off my list exactly what that's going to be yet, but I think that it'll be fun and interesting and something that you may want to do yourself. So I'll see you then. Bye, guys. Stopping by our channel for the 12 Days of Christmas. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow for another fun DIY.